Hello and welcome. I'm your host, here to guide you with some AI-powered insights from the world of modern hospitality. Today, we are diving deep into something that's really at the heart of incredible service, the psychology of sales. But don't worry, we're not just talking about transactions. We're going to explore how really understanding a guest's mindset can completely transform their entire experience with you. This right here is our starting point. A guest might tell you they picked a room because of the price, but the real reasons? They almost always go much, much deeper. Our job is to figure out what's really motivating them so we can serve them in a way that truly connects. And a very special welcome to all the students from Europe Hotel School who are joining us today. This program is designed specifically for you to give you the practical, real-world skills that will set you apart as you become the next generation of leaders in this industry. Okay, so here's a quick look at what we'll be covering. We're starting with the psychology of buying, then we'll get into what guest value really means. From there, we'll talk about building trust, guiding decisions, connecting through empathy, and we'll wrap it all up with why ethical sales lead to long-term success. All right, let's dive in. First up, the psychology of buying. See, if we want to make recommendations that feel genuinely helpful and not, pushy, we've got to understand that guest decisions are driven by this whole mix of things that go way beyond just pure logic. Just take a look at this. What's really amazing here is how tiny that little slice for logic actually is, right? Emotions, how someone perceives things, what their friends are doing, and even just old habits. All of these things often play a much bigger part in what a guest ultimately decides to do. And that leads us perfectly into our next topic. What is true guest value? Now, this isn't just some corporate buzzword. Understanding what a guest actually values is the absolute key to any successful service-first interaction. And this is so important to remember. We tend to think value equals price. But for a guest, their investment is so much bigger. A cheap price can feel incredibly expensive if it comes with a ton of stress, hassle, or just feeling uncertain. And this is what we call perceived value. It's the guest's own personal calculation. They're weighing the good stuff, the benefits, against everything they have to put in. And that's not just money. It's their time, their effort, and their emotional comfort. A smooth, easy, stress-free experience that has an incredibly high perceived value. So how do we actually increase that value for them? Well, we have two main tools, upselling and cross-selling. Upselling is all about making their main purchase even better. Think a quieter room or one with that amazing view. And cross-selling is about adding other things that make their life easier, like arranging a car from the airport. Both of these are designed to meet the guest's needs more fully. But here's the thing, none of that works if the guest doesn't trust you. Trust is the absolute foundation. It's the bedrock. It's what turns a sales pitch into a helpful suggestion and makes a guest actually want to hear what you have to say. So how do we build it? Well, it's not some kind of magic trick, it's a process. It really comes down to these four pillars: being consistent with your service, communicating clearly and honestly, truly listening to what they need, and making recommendations that you sincerely believe will make their stay better. And we have to protect that trust like it's glass. It can take forever to build, but just one recommendation that feels like it's only for your benefit, that can shatter it in a second. Authenticity isn't just a nice to have, it's everything. Now, once you have that trust, your role kind of shifts. You're not a salesperson anymore, you're more of a guide. And in a world where we're all drowning in choices, our job is to lead the guest out of that confusion and into a place of clarity and confidence. We've all been there, haven't we? You're on a website and there are 20 different room types, a dozen confusing packages, endless lists of add-ons. It's just exhausting. That's cognitive overload, and it just makes people frustrated. Sometimes they just give up and go book somewhere simpler. But the solution is actually pretty simple. It's what we call guided selection. Instead of throwing the kitchen sink at them, we listen first. And then we present just 2 or 3 really relevant, well-explained options. When you curate the choices for them, you turn their anxiety into confidence. Another great tool for building that confidence is something called social proof. It's human nature. When we're not sure what to do, we look at what other people are doing. So using simple phrases like, "This is our most popular package," or pointing out great guest reviews, that provides a huge amount of reassurance. It helps the guest feel like they're making a smart, safe choice. Which brings us to what I think is maybe the most important skill of all, empathy. Because at the end of the day, all the techniques in the world don't mean a thing if we don't truly get the why behind a guest's visit. Empathy is what lets us connect with them on a real human level. And here's what that looks like in the real world. Is your guest a business traveler who's short on time? Offer them services that will speed things up. Are they a couple celebrating something special? Suggest that upgrade that will make their trip one to remember. A family visiting for the first time? Give them options that make things feel less uncertain. See, every single recommendation is tailored to their story. So this really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? We're not just here to sell rooms and services. We're hosts. Our job is to create experiences. So how do we make sure every single interaction we have is more than just a transaction? How do we make it truly memorable? Well, the answer is in our final section, ethical sales. And I want you to think of this not as a set of rules holding you back, but as a strategy for success. Because using all these insights with integrity, that's the only way to build the kind of lasting relationships that lead to real, sustainable success. And look at the rewards. They're huge. You don't just get a one-time sale, you build long-term loyalty. You make your hotel's reputation stronger. You create guests who tell their friends about you. You basically transform the whole process into a partnership, where the guest feels like you're on their team. This really says it all. Our goal is never, ever to manipulate someone's emotions. It's to see them, to acknowledge them with respect, and to understand what they're hoping to get out of their trip. And then we use our expertise to help them get there. That, right there, is the soul of hospitality. So I want to leave you with one final question to think about. From everything we've talked about today, what is the one insight that you're going to take and consciously use to make your very next guest journey even better? Because that's where the real magic happens. Thank you.